Good morning, good evening, and good day to all our listeners, subscribers, and supporters of the program Straight Talk. Let me welcome you once again as we approach the Christmas season and, of course, the New Year. Of course, there are many expectations that people will have for Christmas, as well as hopes and aspirations for the new year. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let us focus on what we intend to speak on today. As you know, many concerns, have been expressed about the carnage that is taking place on our roads. Today we will speak about what I would describe as out of control, meaning the situation and the road traffic situation on our country has gone completely out of control. It is something that is truly amazing. In a country like ours, where it's almost easy, I should say very easy, to purchase or hire or rent a motor car, it is not unusual to find many hundreds and sometimes thousands of cars on the streets at one given point of the day in our country. But that is just part of the problem. The point I'd like to emphasize for the purpose of this program is that the traffic situation is totally and completely out of control. This year alone, there have been 97 road accidents, which has resulted in 114 people dying, out of which 9 were children. This is truly almost impossible to believe, but it is a fact. To have 114 people, residents, citizens of our country, die as a result of road accidents, including 9 children, it's totally unacceptable, if not unconscionable. And this is something that this nation needs to take action to put an end to. If not put an end to, at least try its utmost to reduce dramatically. There is something that is called traffic control, or better yet, road traffic control. The last time we spoke about some subsets of the security situation in our country. Security situation in our country is manifold, and road traffic is part of public safety and security. So that when we speak about public safety and security, we're not only talking about crime. As a matter of fact, come to think about it, there are many criminal activities that are committed on our roads, meaning there are many violations of road rules on our road. And this is mainly the reason why there are so many accidents. The situation is totally out of control. I have been there, meaning I've been the Minister of Home Affairs for almost 10 years. So I know what I'm talking about. I speak from experience. My friends, the thing about road accidents is that, someone would leave their home, that's quite normal, or may leave their home going to school, perhaps to work, pleasure, or some sort of business, only to be found dead on the streets, lying on a parapet. A phone call is made to the wife, perhaps to the husband, the parents of the person who was killed. And a total sense of shock and trauma affects that entire family, perhaps the neighborhood, and many who may be relatives living abroad. Part of the breakdown of the road traffic situation in our country is as a result of the breakdown in law and order. When we speak about law and order, we do not talk only about controlling people who may be rioting or looting or demonstrating. Law and order also means maintaining control of the situation on our roads, because it is on the roads that pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, many people use to move from one part of the country to another, or maybe just to move from one village to the other, or maybe just to cross a street. The road, therefore, can be very useful as well as can be very dangerous, depending on who is using it. Sometimes we see cyclists riding bicycles without lights, without brakes. Sometimes we see pedestrians jaywalking, totally oblivious to the rules of the road. And sometimes we see drivers drunk, totally oblivious to the dangers that they are creating on the street as a result of reckless driving and, of course, speeding. Only recently, some of the accidents that took place came about as a result of speeding and the driver losing control of the vehicle. When a driver loses control of a vehicle, two things happen. First, death, perhaps of the driver and the passengers. Death of persons that may be struck down, and damage to property as well. I said two, but I really meant three. So those are the three repercussions that arise from speeding and losing control of a vehicle while so doing. The problem also arises from the fact that apart from the breakdown of law and order, that is, driving under the influence of alcohol, speeding, reckless driving, careless driving, disobeying the rules of road traffic, apart from those, there are many people who are still purchasing their books. This is not something that we welcome, and this is not something that ought to be. And here is where the corruption, the bribery comes into place as a replacement for what should be done legally. The police have found many persons who are driving without even a driver's license. Police have found many persons, apprehended many persons driving a vehicle without any documents whatsoever. People steal other people's vehicles. People rent other people's vehicles. And people borrow other people's vehicles only to find themselves in contradiction with the law. And not only that, only to find themselves involved in an accident. So that apart from people buying their books, as we call it in Guyana, which is in fact purchasing the driver's license, there are many other forms of corruption that takes place in respect to road traffic matters. Many drivers or many persons behind a driver's wheel have never taken the tests, both the practical and the theoretical, organized by the Guyana Police Force. But they are in possession of a vehicle, whether it's a truck, a canter, or a motor car. Some also purchase motorcycles or borrow motorcycles or are lent motorcycles. by the owners, and many use those vehicles to perpetrate a crime. So what we find is that on the roads of Guyana, you may very well find many vehicles in the hands of unauthorized persons using them. And this is a serious matter. Apart from many driving without a driver's license, there are many times on the street you will see cars driving through red lights, not paying any attention whatsoever to the traffic light signals. That alone is placing in danger persons who may be crossing when the so-called green man is on, or crossing when the lights indicate it's okay to cross. What happens when an accident takes place there? Life is gone. It's easy nowadays in Guyana to possess a motor car. Some are making it very easy. Some dealers are making it extremely easy to own and possess a motor car. And many who can afford it, of course we know the sugar workers cannot afford anything of that sort, but there are some who have access to money, good money and sometimes dirty money, who would purchase or purchase on higher purchase a vehicle. Everybody wants 4 wheels, but while they want the 4 wheels, and while they want their own ride, so to speak, they are totally oblivious to the rules of the road. They're totally oblivious to the traffic laws. It would be interesting if a survey was to be carried out, asking minibus drivers, truck owners, as well as hire car drivers, and even privately owned vehicle drivers about the 5 C's. Meaning care, courtesy, caution, common sense, and consideration. I think those are the care is 1, courtesy is 2, caution is 3, common sense is 4, and consideration is 5. It would be really interesting to determine how many road users are acquainted with these 5 C's. Because as you look around the city, and as you stand or even drive around the city, my friends, it is most lamentable, if not regrettable, to observe that many road users, particularly drivers of cars, motorcycles, trucks, etc., do not seem to be acquainted with these 5 C's. And that is why I'm saying it will be interesting to carry out a poll to establish how many of them understand, not only know, but understand what is the significance of every one of those 5 C's. I repeat them: care, courtesy, caution, common sense, and consideration. Each one of them has a significant meaning. And if those 5 C's are applied in the daily routine of road users, particularly drivers, I'm quite confident that the road carnage on our streets and our highways and byways would be reduced significantly. What I found almost nauseating in this whole situation is the president's lamentation, where he claimed that he is distressed as a result of the number of road accidents and deaths on our roads. He's distressed. What a surprise. But let me say this: distress is not going to bring back any lives, nor is it going to help the situation whatsoever. So notwithstanding his lamentations about being distressed, let me say that those who have lost dear ones will not be satisfied with being distressed, because distress is not going to bring back anyone they've lost. Distress is not going to compensate for lives that have been lost. And no amount of lamentations, distress or otherwise, will help to alleviate the current situation in which this country is currently facing. The point is that Mr. Granger and his colleagues, particularly Mr. Granger himself, had all the answers to the traffic situation in our country during the time when I was Minister of Home Affairs and when the PPPC was in office. Mr. Granger was the foremost advocate, shouting from the rooftops that we have failed to bring down traffic accidents and carnage on our roads. Well, the shoe is on the other foot now. And you know, it's easy to say certain things when you are in the opposition. And that is precisely what has happened with the APNU AFC, particularly Mr. Granger. Because now that he's in the government, even though it's illegal and an interim government, he's now coming to tell the nation that he's distressed. But I want to emphasize once more that distress is not going to solve the problem, nor is it going to bring back any lives. Action has to be taken. The funny thing is that in the recent accidents that have taken place on our roads, even ranks of the Guyana Police Force are involved. Police vehicles are involved. Only recently, the Guyana Police Force received a ton of vehicles from the People's Republic of China. Many of those vehicles have been damaged beyond repair as a result of accidents. Some might call them have been written off as a result of those accidents involving police vehicles. And we all know that it's the police, the road traffic department of the Guyana Police Force, that is vested with the responsibility to ensure that traffic control is done in a tight, disciplined, and organized manner in order to ensure that safety takes place on the roads of our country. My friends, the government clearly has its priorities wrong. I emphasize that. It has its priorities wrong. What do I mean? By this I mean that they have bought a number of drones amounting to $180 million US. Do we need drones at this point in time, when so many other priorities are facing our people? I do not need to speak about the plight of the sugar workers and the fact that they are now on a nationwide strike for an increase in their salaries. How do you weigh purchase of drones to a tune of $180 million US as against the needs of sugar workers, especially at this time of the year? Where is the balance? Obviously, there isn't any balance whatsoever in terms of the priorities of the government. There are many others who are in dire need. But the government, particularly the Granger, the president, who prides himself in being an expert on security, prefers to spend tons of US dollars on things like drones, which will eventually end up as a white elephant in this country. You recall that criticized this of our government, and particularly yours truly, for the purchase of a water cannon, which they criticize and they condemn. Call it a white elephant. Well, now the chickens have come home to roost. And the drones which they claim they're bought to do surveillance on our borders would hardly be used. And so, my friends, why put priorities on purchase of drones when urgent need or urgent needs or steps are required in other areas, such as on our roads? One person writing on Facebook said that the money could have been spent on improving road signs, traffic lights, and incidentally, let me make this point, speaking about traffic lights. Had it not been for the PPPC government to bring traffic lights back into this country and functioning traffic lights, one can very well imagine, in the absence of traffic lights, what would happen in this country. And so the significance of the traffic lights installed by the PPPC government must be seen in the absence of the traffic lights. So if you want to understand why traffic lights are important, just think about if they were not there. I am quite sure the situation would have been worse than it is right now. Furthermore, apart from the introduction of traffic lights, which this government has failed to maintain technically, because there are many of them that are not functioning right now, that need to be serviced and need to be put back in action. But I hasten to say that the traffic lights are an important instrument in maintaining a high degree of order on our roads, even though there are many who would drive through the traffic lights and placing other people's lives in danger. When I was Minister of Home Affairs, I made sure that in every region, in almost every region, even in the remote regions, we should have what is called road safety associations established. I remain convinced that the police alone, law enforcement alone, whether it's on the road or wherever, is not sufficient enough, does not have enough capacity to deal with these problems. And that is why I've always maintained, and I remain convinced, about the need to involve our citizens in all these areas of public safety and security, including road safety. And that is why I spent a lot of time, not only on community policing and neighborhood police, but a lot of time was also spent on nurturing, creating and establishing road safety associations in almost every region of our country. This is where the people in the villages, in the community, would step forward to give back something to the community, in one form or the other. And there were many who stepped forward to create road safety associations. These road safety associations played a very important role. They were very proactive. They walked from house to house. They held marches, they held demonstrations peacefully, etc., on which the main theme was road safety. The Guyana Road Safety Association, which is the umbrella body, also played extremely important roles. On one occasion, we filled the International Conference Center with people from all over the country and held a weekend seminar and discussion on the question of road safety. The point I'd like to make here is that you need to involve the people at the lowest level, in the village, in the streets, in the communities, and in the country as a whole. And people feel a sense of contributing when they are brought in by government in order to play these roles. So the formation of road safety associations, in the same way we would create what is called parent-teachers association, where the parents would attend meetings to discuss with teachers road safety issues. All of those things are extremely important and were introduced by the PPPC government. It was the PPPC government that introduced cameras on the roads to monitor the movement of vehicles, etc. And so when we're talking about road safety, it's not only good to talk about it, and not only to say how distressed we are about the loss of lives, but it's also important to take and to be proactive, to take steps to bring down as much as possible carnage that is taking place on our roads. It is also important to have the right priorities, to spend money in the right areas of public safety and security in order to put people at the center of whatever action we are contemplating. That is where the answer lies. Stronger law enforcement, more discipline, road traffic, police traffic officers on the road. Stronger enforcement from these traffic officers on the road, traffic police on the road. More education on the television, on the radio, distribution of leaflets in mass to people and to road users wherever they might be. And so, my friend, what is required here is a coordinated effort. The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Social Protection, the Ministry of Public Security, the Ministry of the Presidency, the Ministry of Health. This is what is called an interagency approach to this question. And unless we take this interagency approach, where all those agencies take and organize a coherent offensive to treat with road traffic and road safety, we're not going to bring it down. For the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Education to say they have nothing to do with it, that is extremely wrong. All are involved. Education in the schools, health at the hospitals, and road safety as a public health issue as well. So public safety and security is all embracing, and road safety is part and parcel of public health, of education, of public security, and of cohesion as a whole. So my friends, I thought that I should raise this matter with you to bring to your attention some of our concerns on this question of road traffic being out of control and the need to bring it under control. That is what is required at this point in time. In conclusion, my friends, I would like to take this opportunity to wish the people of Dominica, a small island of Dominica known as the Commonwealth of Dominica, I would like to take this opportunity to wish them well in the elections that are taking place today. We in Guyana are fighting for free and fair elections, and we look to them for solidarity, as well as we extend to them solidarity in order that they may have a peaceful, democratic, and election that is free from fear and is free and fair. Thank you and goodbye.